You wake up at 2:13 a.m., and the first thing you see is your phone glowing in the dark. $143.62. That's what's left in your checking account after rent, subscriptions, gas, and the automatic payment you forgot was coming out today. Your brain doesn't panic anymore. It just calculates survival in silence. How long can this stretch? 3 days if you don't move too much. 4 if you skip one meal. 5 if nothing unexpected happens, which it always does. This is not a crisis in your life. This is your normal. And that's the part that should worry you. I'm Dr. Slim, and this is your financial autopsy. And right now, we are examining the version of you before the system starts to notice you.
You don't feel broke in the way people talk about it. You still have a job. You still pay rent. You still say, I'm doing okay. But your money has already started living ahead of you. Payday comes in and disappears before your brain can emotionally register it. Direct deposit hits your account like a notification you've already learned to ignore. Rent auto debits, student loans auto debits, Apple, Spotify, Netflix, Amazon Prime all take their share quietly. No emotion, just extraction. And what's left is not income. It's residue. This is where money stops being income and becomes allocation.
You start noticing something strange about your life. You are working full-time, but your financial situation feels unchanged for years. Not worse, not better. Just suspended. That's when the illusion starts to crack. Because you were told effort leads to progress, but your bank statement is telling a different story. Effort is only producing stability maintenance, not advancement. You begin to understand your first invisible system. Credit. Not money. Credit. Your life is quietly being scored while you live it. A number you don't see every day is deciding what kind of future you are allowed to have. You realize something uncomfortable. You are not just earning money. You are being evaluated by it. And the evaluation never stops. Every credit card swipe is a vote. Every balance carried is a signal. Every late payment is a memory the system keeps longer than people do. This is the American truth most people never say out loud. You are financially profiled in real time. At this stage, you are still thinking like middle class, which means you believe stability is the goal. So you optimize for comfort. A slightly nicer apartment, a newer car with a manageable monthly payment, a credit card that feels like points and rewards. You are not spending irresponsibly. You are spending intelligently inside a broken framework because the system rewards participation, not progress. Then something shifts. Not externally, internally. You start noticing how every monthly payment in your life is actually a silent commitment to staying in place. Car payment, phone payment, insurance payment, subscription bundles, buy now, pay later apps, student loan auto pay. You are not just living. You are pre-selling your future labor. And that realization changes how money feels. Not exciting anymore. structural. This is where salary becomes a ceiling, disguised as safety. Because your income is no longer a path upward. It is a maintenance loop that resets every month. You don't get ahead. You reset to zero, with obligations attached. Now, the first real divergence begins. Some people stay here forever. They optimize comfort inside the loop. They upgrade lifestyles slightly faster than income increases and call it progress. But you start doing something different. You begin tracking friction, not income, friction, where money disappears without building anything in return. You start seeing the difference between spending and capital allocation. And that distinction changes everything. You make your first uncomfortable move. You stop optimizing for appearance. You start optimizing for liquidity. That means saying no to upgrades that don't return value. It means resisting lifestyle inflation when your income increases. It means keeping old habits longer than your ego wants to. And this is where people around you start noticing. Not because you got richer, but because you got quieter with money. Now comes the middle class breaking point. This is where most people either stall or shift identity, because you realize something brutal. Saving alone will not change your class position. Saving is defense. You cannot defend your way into wealth. You have to build toward it. And building requires exposure to risk, systems, and time leverage. So you enter the second stage, asset thinking. At first, it's small. A brokerage account you barely trust yet, index funds you don't fully understand yet, maybe a 401k you start actually paying attention to instead of ignoring. You begin to understand compounding, not as math, but as time compression. Money that earns money without your presence. And for the first time, you feel something unfamiliar. Delayed control. But growth has a cost. Because now you see differently. You notice how most people trade time for stability, and how stability slowly becomes dependency. You see how job security is often just structured predictability, and how predictability can quietly become limitation. You are not judging it. You are just seeing it. And that changes your relationship with everything. Now your thinking shifts again. You stop asking, how do I make more money? You start asking, where does money actually accumulate in this system? And the answer is uncomfortable. It accumulates in ownership, equity, assets, systems that produce output without hourly conversion. This is where the American wealth structure becomes visible to you for the first time. Not income, ownership. And with that realization comes separation. Because you start making decisions that don't match your environment anymore. You delay gratification in ways your peers don't understand. You opt out of certain social cycles. You become harder to read financially. And that creates distance. Not because you changed, but because your decision horizon changed. This is the psychological cost of financial evolution. You begin to outgrow the language of your environment. Then comes the leverage stage. You start learning how money moves through systems, not effort. Credit becomes strategic instead of dangerous. Debt becomes tool instead of fear. Income becomes something to route, not just receive. You understand tax efficiency at a basic level. you realize the wealthy don't just make more money, they structure how money is seen, and how it is taxed, and how it is protected. Now, the identity shift completes. You are no longer thinking like someone trying to escape paycheck to paycheck. You are thinking like someone building insulation from it. And that changes everything about your behavior. You stop reacting to money. You start positioning it. But there is a final cost. You become less emotionally connected to consumer identity. You stop needing visible upgrades to validate progress. You stop measuring life in purchases. And you realize something strange. Freedom doesn't feel like expansion at first. It feels like removal. Removal of noise. Removal of impulse. Removal of validation loops. And now we return to where we started. 2:13 a.m. Same room. Same silence. Your phone lights up again. But this time it's not checking for survival. It's checking structure. 143:62. Still there. Still small. But no longer symbolic of failure. Just a temporary state inside a system you finally understand how to move through. And for the first time, your thoughts are not asking how to survive the number. They are asking how to redesign it. Because you finally think like rich people do. Not by income, not by lifestyle, but by structure. And structure is where money actually lives.